hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed. The laughs so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just too high.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful to see you all. Hello, Suzanne. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I did find the yarn that I was talking about. As we said, this could be the perfect yarn. The only thing is, I do know she's using an F hook, but I found my G hook, which is it's only 0.25 millimeters larger. My reasoning for this is basically that it recommends 4 to 5, and I do have a slight tighter tension, so I think that will just make up for the difference. At least that's my thought, and if it's going to be too big, I guess it's going to be too big, and then we learned that. Further than that, I would probably make due course to give a little warning of this live. I don't know how long I'll be around. I'm trying to be of a good mood and be jokeful and everything else around. But unfortunately, Monday my mom was admitted back to the hospital, and she's undergoing lots of tests, and she's not very well right now. So that does make me rather sad. And I'm trying not to think about it. So, but it could be something happens during the stream, and then yeah, I'll just apologize in advance, right? I'm basically here to, I guess, try to think of something else. Because I can't do anything right now. I am a 9 hours drive away, probably more like 10, 9.5, 10, depending on traffic, or a flight of an hour and a half because you'll have to get to the airport, flying up there and back. So that's probably also 4 or 5 hours at best, and that requires you getting a direct connection. So yes, any prayers would be very likely, and I see something. I do see a small message, so I'd actually rather want to read that and see what she says. Because she just had a scan. Because she did have fluids removed from her lungs, and I'm just reading this message because obviously anything coming from me right now is rather important. So she still has some liquids in her lungs. They will have to remove that, and they will see if she might be able to go home at least for the weekend. She will have to do new tests like next week, Wednesday, And they're doing lots of scans of her right now to try to figure out what's the matter and what's the issue is. So it's could be better. It's not ideal. Um, she's generally in good mood, and I think when we look at my mom and the situation right now, I have the feeling that us who knows her are probably more concerned than she is. Um, I guess that's positive. But yeah, it's also just not being used to seeing like. So thing is, last time she was actually admitted to a hospital, that was when I was born. That's like 40 years ago, right? Um, because I had to go out with a cesarean. Um, for various reasons, but generally, so she's always been reasonably healthy, um, except for the arthritis and stuff like that. But not something that she needs hospital visits for. So yeah, we are definitely concerned, and it's pretty unfair, I think, as well, because she retired last year in February from work, so she's basically just enjoying her retirement right now, or well, she was supposed to, but it's not really happening. But anyhow, I think we need to have a look at the beanie because that's actually why we're here. I appreciate anyone's prayers, and I'm trying not to think too much about that, except for it looks like she might get allowed to go home tomorrow, depending on they will have to remove a bit more liquids from her lungs because apparently there is still some, and they're going to check if she might. Do you know those machines where like they have wheels and you can like push in front of you? I'm not really sure what they are called in English, but in Danish we'd call them a rollator. They will see if she can hold her balance with that, because then they will probably allow her to go back home if she wants to, um, instead of keeping her. But yeah, and being home for her would be so in any case nicer, because then when she's fit she can do stuff. Um, but I would probably recommend her to pack a bag of stuff in the next time she goes, because right now every time she's been at the hospital for a test the last 1.5 weeks, she got admitted. So yeah, it would be really nice for her to pack something so my dad, like, because my dad can take her project bag, but if she needs a specific project or if she needs more yarn for a specific project, then he doesn't know what to pick. Like, he has no clue. Like, my partner wouldn't have it either. I would basically have to say, that box with that in it, he could do that. Um, but I couldn't get him to actually sort it out and bring it. So I'll probably suggest her that when I speak to her. Anyhow, um, Spiro Beanie. The Spirograph Beanie is by Hangout Crochet. I was suggested by multiple crocheters that was here with the live with us. And honestly, it's not like I've written down the pattern, so I'll have to once in a while have a look at it in the behind the screens. I saw how the start were, and I think I can do that without the biggest issues. Um, so yeah, maybe what we should do is to see if we can flip this camera around, and then we can actually have a look at the working location. And I chose to use the 4mm hook rather than the 3.75 because that is what the yarn is calling for. It is a 3-weight yarn, um, but I just feel like somehow it seems like the nicer option because I know I do have a tight attention. Anyhow, I also have tea today. It is black tea infused with a melon taste, so it is like a fruity tea. Still pretty warm. I also have a shawl next to me in case I get cold, um, because it's been really cold this past week here. And I see we have Nightbot with us. I think today is the last like really cold day, and then tomorrow it's gonna get warm. Or was it already getting a bit warm today? I don't remember anymore. But we can see what Nightbot is telling us. That is, oh, I'm typing in the wrong line. Let's see if Nightbot wants to share with us how warm it is in this region. It is cloudy with a temperature of 41 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 5 degrees Celsius. The wind is blowing from east-southeast at 13 miles per hour, and the current humidity is 38. The sun is shining. It is like gray, so the sun is kind of coming through the clouds, but it is pretty nice, I'd say. It's pretty nice. But the Como yarn that I want to work with, but let's flip this camera around and see if I can manage to do the dual stream. So what I'll first do is I will pop over, so you have my face up there, and I really need to get used to this stream still like flipping it all around when I'm looking at my screen, because normally I would like point over here, but that's wrong because it is up there. Anyhow, let's see if we can flip this camera down. Ta-ta. We have some working locations here. I do have my yarn spindle, because what I will do is I will remove the label and I will like place this on top and I'll work from it on that, like that. But we can talk a bit about this yarn first. It is the Seaman Kumu. Actually, a while ago, I made a comparison of this yarn on this channel. It was back in March, April, I think, maybe. What I should do is actually, I should be really nice and just add that to the description box below. But I also admit I was a bit in a hurry when I set up this live, because yeah, well, things is life. And I was like, oh, time is running, I really need to get going, and then everything went a bit fast. But let me see if I can find that. Then you can always have fun watching my yarn comparison later, because this yarn I bought in a Dutch store called Seaman. But I also once had a cake from Ice Yarns, which is more or less the same yarn. I actually think it is the same. So if I really like the result of this, or if the result is that we think that the beanie is, yeah, how can I say it, too big, I can crochet hook downsize for the next or something like that. Let's see where we have it. I have so many things on my thingy going on right now. Let's see. But yeah, I made a comparison this spring, and we will talk about this in a few. I just want to add this before I forget it, for those that is curious. It takes a bit for it to think here. Meanwhile, I thank you for your patience. Let's see, what did I call it? Called it a yarn comparison, didn't I? I did. And do we have something that I forgot? It should be updated. It might require you to refresh to see the link, but in case, you can always watch it after the stream if you feel like doing something. But let's talk about this. Seaman Como. I paid €5 for this game. I don't recall what I think I paid like $3 or something like that, maybe a bit less for the cakes, which do I think have longer yardage, etc. But that yarn comparison says everything. So it is 100 gram skein, which is 3.5 ounces, to 310 meters, which is about 330 to 40 yards. Wash at 30 degrees. Do not bleach, do not tumble dry, can be ironed, and can be dry cleaned. Here it recommends 4 to 5 millimeter crochet hook. It says to knit, probably. A medium-sized sweater, you need 4 skeins of these. Well, I'm not knitting, I am crocheting, and I'm making a hat. It is 39% acrylic, 35% polyamide, and 26% polyester. and it has this gorgeous shine to it. You can, like, if I just tinkle it a bit here, you can actually see the shine around, and it has this color changing variation of colors. So I am definitely looking forward to this. So I am gonna take the yarn label off, and I'm placing it on my yarn spindle, and we will have a go. Crystal does a chain to start with, like a chain circle. I, on the other hand, am the magic ring type of person, so I will be starting with magic ring. But as I said, we will place this one very nicely on top. I do feel this a little bit like tacky. See, it is a little bit funky when I'm trying to pull the yarn, and that is probably due to the halo. So I have a feeling we do not, by any chance, want to frock this. Make sure that we don't. Make sure that we don't. So, as I said, I am this magic ring type of person, so that is what I will be doing. And we are on the 4mm crochet hook because I have this idea that that is the better choice. She starts with a chain 1 to get the height, but it doesn't count as a stitch, and I'm just finding my stitch markers. I have this nice crate of stitch markers, and I do like my stitch marker crate here because soon I like to just put a stitch marker in this top loop of the first double crochet, because in this magic ring I need to work in 14 double crochets, and I insert it because then I need to pay less attention as to which is my starting stitch. So it's just saying it's laziness is a bit feels wrong, but it's convenience, if that makes sense. But yeah, we start with 14 double crochets into this circle. And this is the first time I actually worked with this yarn. It's just been in my stash for a bit, and I have to say, so far it works nicely. It's just very, very sticky. When I'm trying to pull yarn off here, I do need to pull a little. It's not coming off smoothly. Let's see, how many did I do? 2, 4, 6. I need 14. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's really not an easy yarn to work with, taking it off the skein, I have to say. So I'm pretty happy I'm not doing a center pull, because that would have been even worse. Try imagine like all the yarn buff I would pull out. Now let's just double check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Which means that I can, if it wants to, close my magic ring, and then I am to slip stitch into that top stitch. So the benefit is I did watch like the first round, 2 rounds, and then from there on we will probably have to do a little bit of video watching. We will have to see how it goes. Hopefully it will be fine. So then we start again with the chain 1 to start the row, but it doesn't count as a stitch. And then I have to work in a double crochet in that same stitch there, slip stitched into, and I will have to work a half double crochet around. And now I need to keep track, really have to keep track, because I do believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, I do. Then I need to work a front post double crochet around. But what I have to do is basically for the rest of this row, we have to do double crochet and then a half front post double crochet around the same stitch that we did the double crochet in of the previous row. So that is what I'm going to be doing, and it's going to be a little bit fiddly, I think, because it's like not the thickest yarn to work with. Being a DK weight shouldn't be an issue. I'm used to working with thinner yarns, but I do need to pay a little attention here going around. And for those curious, I did post a link to the tutorial of this beanie in the description box down below. I will not claim the rights to this as I did not design it. I will at best only claim the rights to this particular piece of item that I've worked up, so to say, because that would be my creative creation. But so far it's going okay, I would say. You know, I've really been challenged this week as well, because I'm so tempted to buy yarn, but my budget and yarn stash says I should not. A part of it is really, I'm so tempted because I see so many gorgeous yarns right now. And I'm like, I could, but when I look at my yarn stash, I probably, you know, my goal is to decrease my yarn stash, which is a good thing that I'm using this yarn because it's in my stash. But generally I'm like, I'd love to decrease my stash. And I really should. Not been doing much progress. Like I have been doing progress here in February, not as much as I had hoped to, because well, life happened. Either I've not been home or I've not been in the mood, but also I've been quite busy helping my mom-in-law moving. And I landed a project last week, Monday, which I've been working on as well. Because that is basically my bread and butter, so that has been taking a bit priority as well. But I did decide today that I did want to go live. That was a priority for today, for me to go live. And I also, for next week, hope to be live Monday and Wednesday. Everything, again, as I said, depends, because it also depends on what any results might be for my mom with what's going on right now. There is a chance that I will have, with some emergency, have to go to Denmark, and if that's the case, obviously, whatever I do on YouTube will be put on hold. But you will all also, I know, have an understanding for that, at least those that's regularly watching my channel. But yeah, generally I'm just trying to plan as if everything is fine. That is probably the best I can do at the current given state of things. I have to say, this yarn is not going off as easy as I really thought it would, and that's one of the reasons. It's really because of this heathering. You can just vaguely see it here, but it does have lots of halo, which means that it will be a fluffy beanie. So what I should do once I've gotten all the way around here is I should probably count my stitches, because I should then have 28 if I've done my work correctly. Plus, I will actually need to convey to the pattern to see what the next part is, which means I will have to do a little bit watching of the tutorial, as I don't know the pattern. It's new to me, but it's always fun to work on new things. I personally like the challenge. What I did manage to do is I actually did finish the second part for my butterfly migration poncho. So that is a nice thing that is something I'm quite happy about. Let's see how we can do this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8. Perfect. Well, here we go. The very basics. And it does shine a bit, but it's just quite difficult to catch on this stream camera. So I will have to see where we are heading. We probably have to slip stitch into the top. And what I then normally would do, because it closes nicer, is to pull it in. Let's see if I can do that. I think that's nicer close. But yeah. So just checking what the next steps are here. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe a slip stitch is better in this case. Yeah, it's easier to see. It is quite pretty yarn. It is just the fluff makes it challenging, right? The fluff makes it really challenging. Oh. Yeah, and the chain one, of course. So I'm gonna listen here. And here, a little sight, you may say so. So this increases pretty quick then, because she does increasing every stitch. Okay, so we are increasing with double pace here. Yeah, that makes good sense. It should be 3-weight, like looking at the length and size and everything, it is a 3-weight, but it could be the fluff makes it more like 3.5. But I'm surprised how quickly the pattern here then increases, because, you know, normally you would do an increase every 2 stitches now, but you actually do 2 increases per 2 stitches, so still like the same as around before. So it does increase size-wise much quicker. That's okay. I'm trusting the process. I guess everybody was thinking a bit like that when they went through this, being like, are you sure? But I'm sure it's like we follow the process. I believe the process. I trust the process. I should trust the process. That is what we want to do. And as I say, this fluff thing, I have to trust the process because I don't want to frock either, and I really need to pay attention. But so far, I would say it goes well, and size-wise, this yarn does fit exactly with the recommendation, so hopefully I'll be fine. It's not like a thicker yarn. Susan says that the beanie stitch pattern will make crap quite dense, so that is why the 3 weight is important, and the beginning of the post stitches will set up to line perfectly. Yeah, I believe that. It's just, there's different ways of doing it, and this is just a new way of doing it, I guess. It's the first time that I've done still for each stitch increases in the third round in a project, but again, if it's workable, it's workable. It does make it, I guess, more flat for beginning, but we will see. It was also quite a fair few stitches once it was all up. Didn't you use like the Lion Brand Mandala or something like that for yours? Or was that the other lady that was in here watching with us? I don't remember anymore. And by the way, did you grab your coffee yet? Or tea, for that matter? Susan says she used a 3 weight from her stash. Let's see, did I? No, that was the previous row. Well, that's basically like me, I guess, then, because this is also just a 3 weight from my stash. The only thing is I probably have more of this because, so I have this yarn skein, but I have like, I think it's like 6 cakes because I did get it at an insanely good price at Ice, but that was before I knew that this was also in a Dutch store. And normally, due to shipping, depending on the yarn, it's not always viable for me to get it shipped from Ice, because in the EU we pay import tax on stuff, and import declaration costs, and import whatever, plus Ice's shipping fees. So for me, I need to consider when I buy from Ice that the order needs to be large enough. Plus, I need to consider that the yarn is probably twice the price when all the cost has been paid than is listed on the website. So, everything depending on what I need and want to do can be worth it, but I need to make sure of the projects. It's actually been a long time since I ordered on Ice. Could easily feel like doing it, but Then we go back to the budgeting part. There's no budget for it. And no room in my stash. I really, really need to clear out some stash. Which we are working on right now, one could say. For the butterfly migration, so I finished the 2 panels and I need to block the 2 panels before I can sew them together. And once that's done, it's finished. So that's nice. Which means that I could look at a new project, or I could take a short breather because I do have a few other things going on, obviously. Now we started this one, so we did start a new project. I do have a plan for a shawl I want to start on next week because I am going on a road trip, a 6-hour road trip to Nuremberg in Germany. And then when I'm not driving, I'd like to be able to do some crocheting. And since it's a quite of a drive, you know, having a nice project would be nice. So I thought if I just bring one yarn cake, I have plenty of project time. And then we will see how far and what's possible with that project. So there's already like intention on a new project then. Plus I still have the Ceylon T-shawl that I'm working on, which I did make some progress on. Plus I also have my mosaic blanket. So I'm sort of okay with not adding extra on my plate. And if I don't finish off this, I probably won't finish off this one today. At least that would be surprising if I do. We could work on it again on Monday and then just make this beanie our live stream project for however long time it will be. Oh my goodness, need to pay attention here. So if I did it correct now, I should have. Hello Jay, welcome to this live this morning. If you haven't done it yet, do grab a cup of something to drink. I would say a cup of coffee, cup of tea, but it could also be a glass of water or whatever you feel like. Cup of milk. I have my tea. Of course I do. So then, when it was before 28, I need to have like 54 stitches if I'm right. But I just want to double check. No, 56. So I should have 56 stitches if I am correct. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 40, 2, 4, 6, 8, 50, 2, 4, 6, 56. Oh my goodness, lovely, it fits. So that means that I did not miss any stitches, and you can actually now see a bit of the color change coming through. Let's see if I can actually show it without the camera going totally funky on the Zoom. You see it's a bit darker in the center and it's a bit lighter here on the outside because we have entered a bit light of the part of the section. Which means next time we're heading slowly towards a bit redder, but we did get some coloring. That's nice. I like that. Just losing a bit of yarn. And now we are back to me needing to check, but if this goes as it has been going, then probably the next row is going to be similar to this one, but I'll better double check. Sometimes You said weather in New Hampshire, and then it just thinks you might thinking about Indiana. Conditions are snow shower with a temperature of, oh, that's cold. I don't want to be in Indiana right now. Ooh. I do not want negative 11 degrees Celsius, which is 30 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. No, thank you. Please, please, no, thank you. If I don't need that, please, no. That is not fun. I'm not, I don't like cold weather. Oh my goodness. So, but we do probably have to, my expectation is I have to do the chain one, which I just did. And then I just need to catch up with the tutorial here to see what's next. So that I did, so that's nice, but I'm expecting Sandra to do the same. Oh my goodness. That's my feeling is this is a bit smaller still. But no increases. Okay. Ah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we doubled increased last round. I get it. Okay, that's easy. So basically now what we did last round, we increased every stitch, right? But now instead of doing that, we don't increase at all, but we do in the normal double crochets, we do double crochets, and in the front post double crochets, we do in front post double crochets. So at the end of this round, we will be at still the magic 56 stitches. That makes sense. So that kind of makes up for the double increase from the last round. Yeah, I get it. Jay says the crochet, like the hat will get bigger. She had the same thought that it was too small when she made hers. Yeah, thank you, thank you. It definitely looks like it will. Um, as I said to Susan and everybody else here, it's about following the progress, and believe in it, because this yarn is not a yarn I want to frog, actually, just like if I can print my life for it. And the benefit I do have is when I do understand the concept of a pattern, I do it pretty quickly. Like if it makes sense. And this really does make sense right now. So that's nice. That is definitely nice. but I do need to be mindful of the stitches because it is small. Definitely not used to doing hats with a DK weight yarn. I also did something crazy the other day. So I was in the city because of an appointment, and then I went. They have like these cheap, very cheap store. It's a bit like a dollar store, I guess. And they had one section. I was like, oh my goodness, they actually have yarn. This is not nice actually. On the, I don't know why it has this red thingy on, but it's pretty tucked in. So well, you just have to accept it. But I will tell you guys because you're here. And they had yarn. But I didn't buy yarn, but I did buy myself a pair of circular knitting needles. Yeah, even have darning needle coming with it. And now the shocking part is this set of knitting needles, which is an 8mm, because I was thinking I could double some yarn and like try to knit a bulky hat. But this circular needles, they were, hold your horses, €1. €1. So I thought, in the event that I don't like it or can't work it, it's only been €1, so it was an okay purchase. I allowed myself this purchase. Yeah, I got myself knitting needles. That was not the original plan, but for €1, even if I like, so I can first figure out if I can figure it out to do it, and I can always get more expensive knitting needles. And if I do like, so if I do like it, I can get more expensive ones. And if I don't like it, €1 does not break my bank, right? Does that make sense? So I thought, okay, I'll get it. And my mom came with this clever remark saying, yeah, and you can still do back and forth even if you want to. You don't need to do it in the round just because they're circular ones, which is also true. So I'm like, yeah, it's probably an okay investment, but it will obviously need to be a chunky beanie. So I don't know what yarn, and I will probably need to double strand because I don't think even I have chunky yarn laying for that purpose. At least not out of my mind, unless I could use chenille yarns, which I probably could do. That would be really comfy, I guess. But yeah, so I'll do that, but it's not gonna be anytime soon because, as mentioned, there's quite a few things going on. First of all, I need to make sure I finish the project that I got hired to do, and then anything else, what happens, we will have to manage as well. You can see it's slowly starting to change into red here. The yarns. Let's see, what did I do here? I did front post. Front post. Normal front post. Jay says, oh, so Susan says it's fun to try to knit a chunky beanie. So that was my idea. Like, if it's chunky, it's like it would go fast, right? Should go fast. And it might be okay. I always said I don't like knitting because then there's more to keep track of, but knitting might be okay. It's not like I dislike it, it's just I find crochet a bit easier, but at the same time, I don't think it's unwise not to honor some knitting skills. definitely not. I should be able to knit and purl, so I should be able to make a red beanie, theoretically. I just need to get a refresher course. Jay says she picked up knitting recently and making her first pair of socks while watching. Yeah, well, nice. My mom makes lots of socks for me, or I always been able to request a pair of knitted socks if she wanted and had time to do it. But now I'm like, and my aunt would probably also do it actually because she also knits socks. But reality is, it would be nice to be able to do it myself, I guess, because one day somebody might not be anymore. Um, death is a thing, right? And then where would I then get my knitted socks from? So I need to be able to somehow maybe be able to myself would be nice. And I'm actually been wondering maybe knitting socks on our circular needles would be easier than doing them on like the old-fashioned way where you have 5 knitting needle with a double edge, double point ends. You know, when I tried that last time, I got the aluminium ones, and I'm told that they might have been too heavy, and that's why I had trouble keeping track of it all. So what I may want to do instead is then to get either carbon ones or wooden ones, if one want to go that direction. Another thing I've been considering is that if I do enjoy it, maybe I should look into getting cubics, so squared knitting needles, because that is better for hands, especially if you have arthritis or similar issues like rheuma. And I know I have that in my spinal cord, which is one of the reasons I do see my appointments or my specialist once in a while. But there's also a chance of that coming to your fingers, right? If that's the case, maybe prepare oneself for the future. I know May in Norway, she got some cubics once. I need to ask her what brand they were because she was really happy with them. I should ask her. Mm-hmm. Well, as you might see, we are a bit more red right now in the yarn. We are slowly getting there. But we haven't increased this round. So I guess so far so good. That was wrong. That should have been a front post. And now this yarn shows its true self once it's going to get frogged. We do not want to frog this yarn too much because it will be a real pain to do. It's not frog friendly yarn. I also have this yarn in blue and greens, which is gorgeous. But I do want like to, if I can, to make a sweater of that. But I've put it a little bit on hold, I guess, for so many other projects. Let's see, and I probably need to slip stitch into the top stitch of that double crochet. So that is what we have done. And I probably should count just to make sure, but I should now still have 54 stitches. This is what we're looking at. That will be better. So you can see we are changing color around. This is the back side. But yeah, a little bit curly, but it's said that that should also get better. So I'm trusting, again, we are trusting the process. Need to make track of my yarn end here. It seems to be a little bit in the way. So we'll grab some more yarn and then we will have to check what they want us to do for round 4. Round 4. My nose has also gotten a bit runny, so I do apologize. But I think it's more feeling than it actually is running. So we chain 1 to prepare for the next round already, and then we will see what they want us to do. Good morning, Sarah. Welcome back home. Hope it went well picking up the mats. I have tea and I have the Como yarn from Seaman, which is like a €5 yarn, so it's reasonably budget. 100 grams, so 3.5 ounces to 310 meters, so it's DK weight, 39% acrylic, 35% polyamide, and 26% polyester. And it's made in Turkey, probably the same place where Ice gets their yarns. This is how it looks in reality. And if you look really carefully, it has shine. It actually is like a red slash copper like thread going through. It's just not as easily to see. And it's fluffy, which means it's a pain to frock. Very gorgeous yarn, I do agree. It's super gorgeous. I like it. And we're making the spiral beanie because Susan suggested me that. I think Susan, I think you commented on my yarn talk video from Friday and suggested that, and I thought it was a good idea because so far I had no specific projects planned for today. So we started a new WIP, and I almost finished the poncho that I'm making. It needs some blocking. I won't have time to do that, so it's probably just gonna go pause for a week or two because I need to block it. I need to find a place to lay down the mats. Our house is full with stuff because, as you guys know, I've been helping my mom-in-law rehoming things. She's rehoming from a she's going to like less than half the size of what she's used to, and my partner has like lots of things still at her place at the attic, and some of those things they're going here, and actually we don't really have room for it, so um, everything is a bit stacked here and there. We need to sort stuff. I need to spend time clearing it stuff up. And I can't clear his up, but I could clear some of my own, which would be nice again to decrease my stash because, So, and I'm following Backward Days tutorial, and right now I am just listening to see what we are gonna do in round 4. Well, round 5. Round 5. And there we did a single chain, We should still have 56 stitches. I did not count them, but I'm expecting they're all there because it doesn't look like I'm missing any. And now we see you probably have to do an increase here, I'd imagine. But let's see what she says. We'll have some double crochets. Yeah. And how is she going to increase? Is that every increase every stitch again? Could be. Oh, okay, only on the post stitches. How will she increase? Double crochet in top and then a post stitch. Okay, cool. And then the next double crochet is just a normal double crochet, and then at the post we'll increase. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. That is easy. But yeah, it's really nice how it changes colors right now. And it's like a slow pacing change. Well, I've seen quicker, I've seen a lot slower. And now I'm just helping myself with a stitch marker because that will be my first double crochet of this row. So we will just basically be, so basically what you are doing here is 2 double crochets and the front post double crochet in the same stitch as that last one because that is around that post. So that is a simple, easy repeat for the increase. I can definitely do that. The difference between the tutorial and me is that I'm using a 4mm hook instead of a 3.75. That is an intentional choice because I do have a tighter way of crocheting than the average. So I usually need to up my hook when I'm trying to match gauge. But there is no gauge swap for this, so this is just me hoping that I made the right choice. If it's too small, then it's a children's hat, not an issue. If it's smaller than that, we have an issue. And if it's too big, well, then we learned our lesson, right? That for once, my gauge might have been fitting. But so far it still looks small. And I've been told it does look small in the beginning. So I will keep being faithful to the process and believing in this process. That is what we are doing. It's actually funny because with all this fluff on the yarn, one would think it has wool in it, but there is no wool in this yarn. In fact, it's like 100% synthetical because it's acrylic, polyamide, and polyester, which is not natural materials at all. But if I just saw it laying in the store, I would immediately think, oh, it has to have some kind of wool or animal fibers in it. But it does not. 2 doubles and a front post double. So far it's easy. Now I feel I need to, and that's the thing, even though I thought it was a great idea putting it on the spindle, I'm still happy I did not do a center pull, because that would have pulled like the whole center out because of the fluffiness. But it does stick a bit, so it doesn't, like if I just do a slight pull, what I normally would do, especially if it was like a pure acrylic or pure cotton yarn, that would just like nicely twirled out. But this, no, 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 no. Not as easy as my other cake. Like I'm having my soft cake on my other spindle, which I use for the Ceylon tea shawl, and that is just like I look at it and it's automatically like slowly spindling off the yarn, nice and easy. Really happy that I could start from the outside, like the cake color was colored up like a way that I could start from the outside rather than the center, which allows me to use my yarn holder. But this yarn is not as friendly compared to, but it's still, I prefer it on the spindle rather than it jumping around on the table, I guess. But with the type of yarn this is, I'm, as said, happy that I did not attempt a center pull on it. I don't think this yarn is center pull friendly. We are getting there. My feeling is we are getting closer and closer to that. But we are definitely also increasing. So what my quick math skills tells me is that we should be at 70 at the end of this round. We should probably, just to make sure to count stitches, because this is a row where I could maybe by accident mess up. Not intentional, but by accident skip a stitch, skip an increase, or skip a double crochet or something like that. One, two, we need yarn again. So it does work up quickly, I would say, or the yarn works away quickly. And I still need to forget my label, because I don't think I will use all this yarn for the hat. Then we will have to see how much is left in that event. Of course, if I don't. We will see how much is left once I'm done. But I have a feeling that we're not finishing today. Well, I know we are not finishing today. So what I think I will do is to say we will work on it on Monday. And if we don't finish Monday, we will finish Wednesday. So we will just work on this beanie during live. That's a nice thing, right? I think that's a good idea. That's the only thing we will do. Work on it during live. Oh, that was a bit too much on for my hands. Sarah, did your partner or did your boyfriend love your the heart he got? I totally forgot you to ask you. And we didn't do anything for Valentine's, but Sunday, well, you suggested actually. Was that on Valentine's Eve? Or was it after? Because Valentine was Friday. He might have suggested it on Valentine's Day that we should go out and eat. So we went out to eat Sunday because that was when it was fitting in the agenda. So Sunday instead was kind of our Valentine's Day, and we went out to have dinner, and that was nice. Was a long time ago since I've been to. In the Netherlands, we have pancake restaurants, and they're quite nice. It's filled pancakes, so um, you can get all sorts of ingredients on your pancake. Um, it can be sweet, but it can also be sour in the sense of meat. Um, Basically, think of pancake like pizzas, where you can put all sorts of stuff on, and the same you can do with pancakes. I had I had a sweet one because it's been a long time since I've had a sweet one last. So my sweet one was apples with cinnamon sugar and nuts, like mixed nuts. So like hazelnuts, Brussels nuts, pecan nuts, walnuts, um, almonds, etc. And then I asked them to add ice as well because that's really nice. So it was more like a desserty-ish feeling. And my partner had another pancake which I normally really like myself. Um, but since I've the last few times had that, I decided just not to do it for once. And that is a pancake with smoked salmon, brie cheese, spinach, um, which they all go together, which is also really, really nice. So yeah, so we ended up going out for dinner instead. So and that was nice, and it was a bit of a drive to get there. It was a long time since we've been there, and we did a bit of longer drive to go there, a bit more touristic route. It was quite nice. Sarah says he loved the pillow. Very impressive. You made this. Seeing my progress over the past 2 years and been growing. He's been seeing your progression for the past 2 years you've been crocheting. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's always nice when people are proud of what you make. Definitely. Like I have moments where my partner can actually see what I'm making and he's like, wow, that's pretty. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you said it was actually pretty, because he's like not the type that will wear knit or crochet items. There is no need for me to try and make him socks or hats or whatever because he will not wear it. Sweaters, whatnot. Um, let's see. As you can see, it's pretty red right now, but we are going to head back to the more brown, I think. Yeah, it's going to be more brown and then it's going to be cream again. So we are heading into the center color now slowly. That's the 3 color changes we have. I like it so far. It's nice. We'll have to check what they want me to do for round 6. Sarah says the bag she once made her boyfriend is the favorite he ever had. Oh, that's nice. I'm really happy with the bags I actually made. And I've been very much contemplating on selling the bags I've crocheted. Definitely. I've been plundering on a web shop. Maybe setting up my own, combine that maybe with an Etsy or something like that, just to get more presence. Yeah, it's an income, right? So I've been debating on expanding this to be more business minded. So let's see what she will do for round 6. So I did really nicely. So what she probably will do then would be a double crochet and then a front post in the same stitch and then not increasing. That would make sense. But let's see. That could make sense. Because I'm not sure. I don't know this pattern. It's a first. It's a first. But we did finish round 5. So I'm definitely curious to see if my thought here is logic. It should be 84 stitches. Should I count? Well, it'll probably be fine actually. Doesn't look like I missed any. Let's agree to blame me for not counting. Does it turn out that I needed to count? I think that's a fair way of saying it. Nah. But this is still like, feels smaller. So far, I'm right. Round 6. Okay, no increases on round 6. Yeah. So it's gonna be 2 double crochets and a front post double crochet. So that is easy. Susan says, as long as I put the right stitches in the right places, I should be fine. Keep going, it will get larger. Yes, that's my point. Like, trust, I need to keep trust in the process. But if I compare my hands to her hands and my size to her size, and I know I have small hands, it still seems small. But yeah, maybe it's not as bad as I'm thinking. Believe in the process. That is what I should do. And we need more yarn. So let's pull some yarn here. Doo -doo. Susan says, once you start working the body, you can add rounds if you feel you need it larger. Well, that's nice to know. Well, I guess, want a normal sized head. Medium would be fine. Medium to large, I don't know. I'm genuinely more of a beanie user than I am a hat user. Not beanie, sorry, headband. That I do wear hats, that I have to admit. Actually, Sarah, you was a bit late because I think you weren't here when I started telling the other 2 lovely ladies about me having done crazy because I bought knitting needles. Because I bumped into them in the store and they were like €1. Try imagine going to the Dollar Tree buying knitting needles for $1, literally. including sales tax. Because all the prices we see in our stores when we go shop is including sales tax. That doesn't come on top. I did take them out, and they were definitely not the highest quality ones, but I think they're fine for me figuring out if it's something I want to explore further into. Yeah, hats are hard when your hair is up, and my hair is often up. Right now, I just have my braid, but I also often just have like a bun, and then I need like bun friendly headband. Sarah says, I don't look right in hats, but honestly, getting so cold I may not care anymore. That's also valid. If it's too cold, it's not funny to wear hats. Well, let me show you. That, my friend, is my knitting needles, 8mm for a bulky beanie. Plus, it included a darning needle. At the very bottom here, you might be able to see it, or I can maybe see if I can get it more into the center somehow. Here, okay, this darning needle too. So I got a darning needle and this set of circular needles. I don't think they're metal. It's more like metal plastic thing, alloy. It's very light. I got it for a whole year, including sales tax. So I thought, sure, if I don't like it, it doesn't break the bank. It's within budget. So I got them. Now I'm thinking if I should have got maybe the 6mm that were hanging there as well. But I can do that another day. Or I could also just realize if I like them, then I could maybe actually just, get myself a real set of various sizes of circular needles, like the interchangeable ones. That could also work. But so far, I think we're doing well. I'm usually not a big knitting fan, but who knows, maybe it's not gonna be as bad. I've grown older. I've grown more patient. It comes with age. I can knit and purl, so I just need a refresher course. And if it's gonna be more advanced than that, then I will probably need to ask help somewhere. But I'm sure somebody will be able to help me there as well. Sarah says, I would drive myself crazy trying to knit. I saw a video of a lady using 5 or 6 needles at the same time, and I know that kind of thing would make a bit tangled mess. Yeah, well, that's a point of the circular ones to kind of, I guess, prevent needing to use multiple. And also, the thought of having more than just a hook in my hand is a little bit a lot to keep track of. But I thought, okay, theoretically, I should be able also to knit socks on circular needles, actually. Haven't tried yet. Have to check with my mom. once she feels better. And it's more like, I'm not sure if I want to be a big knitter, but I just like the ability to, I guess, be able to, should I need it one day? Does that make sense? Exactly. Actually, Susan, Kelsey's the one that inspired me to get the 8mm ones because she double strand the yarns, which I'm like, I can probably double strand some yarn in my stash and wrap that up. I'll be fine. And she even has a nice tutorial on it, so that is why I thought, oh, let me get them. The only thing is, the cord on these I got is a little bit longer than the one recommended to use, but I think I will still be fine. Um, but that is for a future me project, not for a right now. I have so many things going on, which I think is way more important for me to do. And I do believe I'm like the continental knitter looking and things, because when I see people knit more like English style, I think that's like when they throw the yarns around the hook, where I actually, like, like I do now, have a yarn finger that's guiding. So I do my yarn between my pink to kind of have the tension, to help with the tension. So that is how I hold the yarn. Um, but I would do that also with knitting, except I would then have something in both my hands. At least that's what I used to do. Last time I really was knitting is like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. Last time I officially knitted something was when I were knitting a scarf for my friend's newborn, and he was born in January 2011. 14 years ago. Yeah, I'm the continental one. Um, I also see some people throw the yarn around crochet hooks, right? Um, which I can't do either. Like, my mind doesn't phantom how. Um, but I guess it's probably also a little bit on what you once learned. And my mom, or was it my grandmother? I don't even know anymore. But I did learn to knit as a child. Um, probably like when I was 10ish or so, even younger, maybe 8, 10. Um, I think the shan is a nice size to actually knit with as well, if you wanted a bit thinner, flowy, plain knit something. Mm-mm-mm. But I'm also pretty happy with the crochet. I think knitting and crocheting has its own different advantages. Let's see, I need a front post, 2 regular doubles. You can definitely see how we are into the browns now. But it's still like a coppery shine to the thread that goes through. Shiny thread. So that is the same throughout the whole yarn. And then it's just the strands in between that changes colors. The one that it's wrapped around. And actually, when I'm looking at this yarn, could be a bit like a chain spun yarn where the fluff somehow is like blown into it. Because when I'm trying to look at it, it's not a spun yarn and as such, it's more like a chained yarn. I didn't even notice. Today I received molds with the post, my button molds, which means that for my next project, next pickup project, because I want to make a vest for myself, and I wanted to make my own buttons. So now I actually have all of that to slowly be able to make that. So that is something that I'm pleased with. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having our round complete at 84 stitches. I just need to slip stitch into the first round, and we will do a stitch marker and we will have a show. What are you ladies working on right now? Here we have, well, it does curl a bit, but I think it looks nice. Not bad. Soon we will head into the more creamy portion of the repeat. So far I've been right. It was nice yarn for this beanie, I think. But we need to see what's next. I suspect we will have an increase. The real question is how she will do the increase here. Could also just, maybe it's not like a double ribbed etching, and then it would be an increase before the front post like this one, past one was. But quite sure we still need to chain one to get some height. Oh, just getting some yarn off. Mm-hmm. Then it's increase probably. So we only increase on the posts and then front post around. Yeah, I can do that. It's easy. It does ripple before you start the body. Yeah, but I thought it could be like a two-piece ripple in the sense of one front post, one normal, one front post, one normal, but that's not what it is because now we have three normals and a single front post. So there is a ripple. It's just there's more space between the ripples than I thought it was initially, just seeing the photo from up top. Sarah says she's making a gnome at the moment, may switch to the picture board. But that means that it's still easy for me. Like, no odds to remember. It's still like an easy repeat. An increase repeat. I have to say now I'm a bit further into the skein of yarn. It does come off a little bit easier off the yarn spindle, so it could also be because of the outer edge, you know. That's the one that's been wrapped in and moved around. It touches everything, so it might have been a bit more squeezed together. And obviously fluffy yarns, when they get a bit more squeezed together, they're more likely to hang a bit together somehow. So that could definitely also be the case. I'm just happy that it goes a bit easier apart. Sarah explains, I had a piece of wood from the back of a dresser or something, painted it, drilled holes around the border, threaded jute cord through, glued buttons, and just have to put picks on it. Ah, that's a nice idea. That is definitely a nice idea. Susan says she's finishing up Bernat Ali's blanket, easy stripes, textures, throw. It's hand knitting with looped blanket yarn. It's fun, easy, very thick and squishy. Oh yes, I've seen those big loops from them. Yeah, that is definitely something easy and quick. I remember finger knitting back at school days, right? Like you would like twirl them around and you would like just put them around your fingers one by one. That's like a long time ago, but I remember from school we did that. Susan say it's kind of like idiot knitting, but it's very fast. Oh my goodness, that phrase idiot knitting. Yeah, well, I get what you mean, but it's something everybody should be able to do. That I guess is more the conclusion of it. Yeah, Sarah, you could do it in your sleep. Like even I could sitting down. Like, all praise. That's definitely not difficult. Loom knitting seems also to be a thing. And I think I might have tried loom knitting also when I was a kid, but that's so long time ago. There's a recommendation to look up free patterns for Bernat and Lion brand yarn for yarn requirements for these hand knitting projects, I think. Tomorrow I need to just swiftly bring my mom-in-law, like, she comes here to pick me up to drive back home because she needs to bring her bicycle to the new apartment, and it doesn't fit into the car. So basically what she wants is me to drive to the apartment, to the new apartment, because it's like 15 minutes drive maybe, on the bike, but she wants me to help transporting the car back and forth, so to say. Which is fine. I'll happily do that. And tomorrow is going to be nice weather here because tomorrow we are heading into like double digits. It's going to be like 12 or 13 degrees Celsius tomorrow here, which is crazy because last week was like freezing. So it just gained a fair few amount of temperatures difference, like 20 plus Fahrenheit. Susan says, I had a chunky round knitting loom, but I found that I could do regular round knitting faster, so Goodwill got the loom set. Yeah, that makes sense. I also think that with regular knitting, you can do more fancier stuff than you can with a loom. Oh, my apologies. This yarn could probably also be really nice if it's doubled up, like with a white, maybe even. Do, do, do. But that is not relevant for this beanie that we are attempting to make. We are into the more creamy toned colors right now. But on the other hand, handcrafts just takes time, right? Susan said she bought the Loopy blanket yarn for quick blanket donation when it was deeply discounted. Yeah, that makes good sense. We all like good discounts on yarns. That's one of the reasons that I bought lots of yarns recently, the last, I don't know how long. Then there was a discount code, or there was an offer, or there was that, or there was that. But now I'm just like, no, cannot buy yarn. And then it's constantly cannot buy, preferably, unless unless it's something that I cannot without, which means I need it for a commission. Less likely, but it could happen. Or it's such a good sale that you cannot leave it without getting it. But generally, the goal of 2025 is to decrease the size of my stash without imposing a yarn purchase ban. Because the thing is, now let me tell a little bit about mentality or logic or whatever we should call it. We as person do not understand no or not in the sense, and therefore, um, it will be easier to maintain unless you just like put restrictions on how instead of the are not allowed or no. So it's better for the mindset. Let's not is just not a word our brain registers. So let me test this with you, ladies. So pink elephants do not exist, or do not think about pink elephants. And the thing is, I've said pink elephants twice now, and I've also used the word not twice, but I'm pretty sure somewhere a pink elephant is crossing your mind. Good morning, oddballs. Wonderful to see you here. How was... you were in the middle of America somewhere. I'm trying to remember where it was. Costa Rica? Maybe? That direction, at least. Mexico. Oh, sorry. I had the idea it was Costa Rica, but Mexico is also Middle Americas, I guess. Sounds nice, though. Guess it was warm. As long as you had great weather, most importantly. Sarah says they've literally had amazing sales since Black Friday. Yeah. I've been seeing and I've been eyeballing and I've been like, I want to. And then I'm like, but I shall not. Yet. Bye, yarn. I need to clear, but I will also get more space automatically if I can clear out some of my mix. I do have some mix on stash, right? Do have plans. I have been debating on, I could also try to sell on Vinted. Do you guys know Vinted in America? Vinted is like an app where you can sell clothing and jewelry and stuff like that, which is like secondhand use, but it's usually just displayed to people in nearby proximity countries or the same countries as yours. I have also considered putting it up there. But yeah. Unsure if that makes sense. Susan says the sales emails often get her. Yeah, I know. Definitely. For me, it's quite easy with the limited budget and the fact that I know I need to decrease the size of my stash. That I'm trying to ignore those emails, which I would say has gone pretty well because in 2025, I have not bought a single yarn with the exception of the yarn haul I made from Hobby for my birthday present. And I only did that because, of course, there was a good sale, but also because I had some yarns that, I had some points that was about to expire, and I did not want my points for the points shop to expire. So I decided that it was actually okay to use my birthday discount on getting some nice yarns with a discount and then redeem some points for some points yarn, which I did. And that is the only yarn I've gotten this year, which is pretty impressive because it's been a month and a half. And in 2000 and probably 2023, I on average probably bought yarn once a week. Comparison, just saying. So I'm doing good. Sarah's jealous, but weather was awesome. Upall says gorgeous weather, came home to negative 40 degrees wind chill. And the sales emails doesn't really get you, except for the Black Friday ones. Well, everything depends, right? I didn't sign up for Lion Brand's mails because, you know, I will have to pay import costs for getting yarns there from the US. So once there's budget and room for it, I might sign up for it because I do at some stage actually want to see how it is to import from the US to see how that goes. But it is not a main priority right now, I will admit. Mainly also because I know if I do that, the change in my yarn stash will be noticeable. Because, you know, if I have to pay a fortune to get it shipped here, I can better make a bigger order because it's still going to cost me a fortune to get it shipped, right? If that makes any sense. Oddballs did get home from Mexico with a haul of yarn. Nice. So, like Mexican yarns or just various good deals from a Mexican yarn store? I have some hand-dyed superwash merino that could be awesome for a hat as well. And it's hanged up, so I need to like put out my Swift and actually wind it and stuff like that. Which is something that my little brain cannot comprehend right now. So I've been postponing it for a bit. Mexican cotton yarn, it's a fraction of the price there. Oh, cool. I've never heard of Mexican cotton, but why not? I think if I ever go to the US, or even then Mexico, I need to make sure there's room in my suitcase to bring yarn with me back home. At least just a little room in my suitcase, can't only be clothing. Or what an old friend of mine used to do was if she went traveling and she knew that she was likely going to shop new clothes, she brought old clothes with her, which she would dump there in the garbage, like after she'd worn them for the last few times. Then she would have room for the new ones she would buy, which is also a pretty good idea, actually. I tend to do that. Like if you go somewhere where we need to bring our own towel, like if we have rented a house somewhere to stay, sometimes you need to bring your old bed linen and towels and so on. Then I would use my old linens because I would then just be able to throw them out afterwards as an alternative to just throwing them out at home, using them one last time. They have a yarn called Omega Trigo. It's equally to Juniper Moon's Farm's Cumulus and it's a quarter of the price. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. Who wouldn't want cheap yarns? Well, cheap yarns is always a good excuse. It's really curling up here, I have to say. It's curling up. It wants to curl up. It appears to be normal, but yeah. It's nice. already changing back to the red here. So we don't have full rows of the color transitions, but it's nice. It's nice. Oh my goodness, it's already 4 p.m. here. So let's see what the next row will require us to do. Meanwhile, I should actually look Omega Trigger. Mercerized cotton. Mhm. Let's just actually for fun change over here to do the shopping view. Ta-ta, because I found, yeah, this is a trigger. Except, well, some of it is in English and some of it is in, well, here it's in English. Tricot delicate, soft silk, rustic tricot yarn, 100% mercerized cotton gives shiny looks, everything, blah, blah, blah. 100 grams to 270 meters, so that's like 50 grams to 140. So that is like light DK weight. Looks nice though. Different colors. This is not bad. This looks nice. It says it's mercerized, but it's brushed so soft. Ah, it's nice. That's really nice. I really like this. Looks good. Crocheted piece with it. West with it even. It's not bad either. Oh, it says super fine. I would not say it's super fine based on the first informations here, but probably more like a two weights, 2.5 weight. But maybe I'm wrong. So Omega is a yarn brand. We learned something new today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, 2 to 3 weight. That was also my feeling. We did finish round 7. And looking at the speed of this project, I had the feeling we will not finish this today, but we knew that when we started. And I imagine now that we just do a non-increase row so that we do work 3 double crochets and a front post double. But let's see what she says. So yes, we already slip stitched in and chained 1. Oh, so we need to measure it. Uh-huh. need to be between 6.5 to 7 inches. So we have to measure. Let me know, what do you think this has? How many inches? Do you want a guess before I measure? How many inches do I have here on the crown? Any guesses? Oh, I'm very happy you introduced me. I've never heard of Omega yarns before. Don't know if I will ever head to Mexico, but definitely nice to know. 6.5 is Susan's guess. 6.5. I did intentionally because so my normal measuring tape is only centimeters on both sides. But I did a long time ago get this, which has centimeters on one side and 60 inches on the other. So it's 150 centimeters on this side and to 60 inches on this side. 6.5, Susan says. Let's see. I don't think so. I'm at 5. I can also turn it around for easier looking. If I stretch it a bit, then we are at 5.5 at best. I told you it was looking small. Let's see if we stretch it a little bit. And think about it, ladies. I hook sized up. So with a little bit of stretchy, we are at, yeah, 5.5, roughly. Another set of crown round. Let's see what that means. Is that so? What I would then do, because this was an increase row, I should just do a normal row, not increasing. I would say, because that's what we have done until now. Yeah, I said my gauge is tight. Yeah, I generally have my tension is generally tight. It's just how it is. I'm used to it. I can't do loose. I'm not a loose hooker. Oh, jolly well. I'm a tight hooker. So I guess what we will do is not a round without increases. If I understand this pattern correct, please correct me if I'm wrong. But if I understand this correct, I will do normal round off. So that would now be 3 doubles and a front post, because previous row I just did increase. Yeah. You're very welcome. My pleasure to bring joy to your day. But my conclusion is that I'm anything but a loose hooker. I'm a tight hooker because, but I'm used to that, right? I'm used to me having a bit slighter tension. So I usually tend to need to upsize my hook a bit. Only one project I've had where that wasn't the case is actually the punch I've been working on. I used the exact sized hook size mentioned in the pattern, where I'm like, I did gauge watch even, and it was correct. Because the first gauge I made was with a half size larger, because I know I'm a tight hooker, and it was too big still. I was like, I need to count your stitches to match the pattern, so 112. Well, I didn't count them, but I'm expecting, since I'm not increasing anywhere in this row, I should be fine, right? That is my conclusion to this. I'm not increasing. She didn't talk anything about multiples, but I should probably know. But right now I'm not increasing, but she didn't in those between rounds either, so I should be fine. And it might also take out a bit of my curves. One could hope. Normally, though, I would say that would require an increase to do so. So what we will do is we will measure after this round and we will compare. Right now I'm actually using the hook that I also use for my mosaic blanket. I stole it from the blanket. I can't work on two projects at the same time in any case. So I was convinced the blanket could spare me the hook for a few minutes or a few hours. That was my thought, at least. I made a mistake. This one should be a front post, not a normal. At least I catch it instantly in the stitch, so that's nice. So only one stitch in each frog. And we will have to see once I'm all the way around here how and what. And then if I'll need to increase or not. And if I do, I will need to check whatever with the pattern, how that works. Because so far I've actually just done the rows how she did it, which is like a row of increase and then a row of not increasing, a row of increase and a row of not increasing. So now we're doing a non-increase row. So that will be the same amount of stitches as when she just finished increasing. Then we will see how big the crown is. But since there's no increase, it's not really technically growing as such. Then we probably need to make another round of increases. We'll have to see. That would quite much also depend on how the pattern works afterwards, which I will have to see. Count. If that's even a realistic thing. I do not know. Or the whole project should have started with. So if it's not a 14 repeats, then maybe the whole thing should have started with 15 or 16. I don't know. We'll have to see. We will have to see. I would be really sad if this remains too small, but then I guess we learned that. Optionally, we could frog it, which would make me really sad. An option for the 4.5mm crochet hook. but I'm not sure. Well, it could bring something, right? But if it brings what we need, I don't know. It's quite a bit of stitches to frog and redo, but it could be needed. Trust the process, trust the process. Yes, ma'am, I will. Thank you for believing in the process for me. What I could do while I'm doing this is I could listen to the repeat. Because there's 4 stitches in between. Oh no, my yarn flute. Yeah. Thing is, with my tension, I don't feel that I'm holding it like super tight. It just happens to be. Susan says, I was delivered too, but the body stitches are quite stretchy. At the final rows, Bagger Days even says you can decrease around the brim if it's too large, but you should be fine. Okay. Well, first we just need to complete this round and see how far it is. But I have the feeling what I'm doing right now is making it curve even more. We are not far. This is the amount of stitches we have to go. She does mention, like, don't do it too tight in the repeating rows. And I'm like, not doing it tight. Of my own opinion. But obviously the project says something different. Like, I don't have the feeling that I'm holding it super tight. It's just, as I said, it just happens to be. It just happens to be. Da, da, da. We are almost done. 2 more stitches to go. And then it's measure time. But as I said, it's now even more curly. The magic question is, did we reach 6.5? Did we reach 6.5? Oh my goodness. The final judgment is if we like really pull it, like right now it's 6. It's 6 right here. And if I stretch it, what then? Problem is the crown is opening, so I need to tighten that back up. It's still 6. Which means in my world that I should do another round of increase. But then the pattern doesn't add up anymore. So I would now normally say, what then? What then? We are at 6. And that's with a curvy thing. Could also try and measure on another direction, but I don't think that's necessarily gonna make it bigger. My goodness. Yeah, it's still 6. Hello, Mr. Stir Crazy's Arts and Craft. Yeah, it reminds me a bit of a lily pad too. It's supposed to be the crown of a beanie, but it's a little bit small. So I'm trying to figure out what to do, actually. But I know a couple of ladies in this room already made this pattern, so the stitch count is important. Or I could also try to increase, but if I do, that will give more slant too, because I did check. So basically you crochet some together and then you increase by going back. That could probably still be done even with an extra stitch. Susan, we are at 6 inches. That's with one more round that wasn't increased. So normally, if I follow what we have done on the crown until now, I should increase now. So we will have like 14 stitches extra added to the whole project. Well, actually 28. Because there are 28 ridges. So that could be an option. But then instead of having 3 double crochets between, you would then have 4. Susan says if you want a larger hat, do a non-increased round. Why? Because the stitch count will be the same. Eventually it will curl downwards. Will turn into a child's beanie, this. Can't even test it myself. Or a small sized one. I should have done the 4.5mm crochet hook. Dang it! Oh my goodness. It will only curl more if I keep the stitch count until it goes like down, right? Oh my goodness. What one could do, instead of doing the front post double, you could do a front post treble if you add an extra stitch. Or make the end result the same, except you have to increase to help accommodate for. Yeah, I get that. I've been watching some of the body stitches. I'm just trying to find out how I can wing this, because clearly this is small. 6 should be okay for a crown. Yeah, but not for my big head. On the other hand, I wasn't a beanie wearer, but might turn out smaller for what I wanted it to be. I guess the worst thing that can be happening is that it's gonna be more friendly for a child size. Was not the intention. Was more like an adult size, but then I know I need to crochet upsize the hook if I want to make a second, because I do have more of this yarn, right? So let's see. So double crochet into the first stitch. That's a double crochet. Do together is a decrease. Yeah, or what I should have done with this hook size is instead of having 14, is I could have had 15 stitches in the circle, right? Because that would then have given me more stitches to make up for the sizing. Because from what I see now, it is a repeat for the 4 stitches. That is what I'm seeing right now. But I think I'll just, as I said, we have more yarn. We can always, like, I can always work up another. Maybe I even have yarn left after this one. And then we will see how it goes. That was my short thought. I also have this, measurement piece that's saying something along how big a crown needs to be for what size you will end up with. I don't know if it's applicable for this project. We'll have to see. We will have to see. It's because this one states if my crown is 6 inches, it's a teenager size to small sized adult, which means that I will definitely not be able to fit it. But everybody says it's stretchy. But yeah, we're still on this teen size concept. So the only way to make up for that, you could do more rounds, but adding rounds will not increase. Yeah, that will not kind of like, it wouldn't fix that issue. So you would either have, I don't think that would, because it will eventually become like, when you work on a beanie and you want to start make the sides, you just do this, you keep the same stitch count. So if I keep the same stitch count once more, it's not gonna necessarily get bigger, if that makes sense. So that's far so far. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly, oddballs. That's what I mean. Either more stitches or use a bigger hook. So that's not going to happen unless I want to frog this, which is not going to happen because of this yarn. As I said, if we do like the turnout of this, I do have other yarns. If I don't know what to use that yarn for, I can always do that. Or we have to frog it, but that feels like 2.5 hours of wasted work, which is not exactly on my agenda right now. Right. So instead, I will option to just go with the flow from here. So we need to do a front post backwards. And you don't want to do it tight. Yeah, well. I did make it loose. But theoretically, you could probably do the same by, you could probably add the extra stitch count. And then instead of doing a double here, front post double, you could probably have done it with a treble, maybe. It's just my quick thought. Might be wrong, might be wrong. So then we need to make sure this is a bit loose and then go back into this. We will see how this end result will be. But right now I have this feeling that either a bigger hook size or more stitches. But what I do know is I'm not really in the mood to frog this because it will be a pain to frog. And I would probably have enough yarn to make a new one and then just upsize the hook to a 4.5mm. Let's see, 1, 2. This is where we need to do the two together. Then a little bit more yarn on the hook. We need to go back to that one and pull up a bit of extra yarn so it's a bit loose. It does slant over. I would say. But I do not think that it will be something that I can fit. The last one I made, which should also definitely be my size, I couldn't fit either. There, the solution would have been also to add more stitches, starting stitches. But it's good, it's a learning process, and the good thing is, once I know this, then if I use the same yarn and I want to repeat it, I know what to do. So, it's not like lost work in that sense, right? Let's see, it's here. So it's not wasted, completely lost or something like that. But one thing is evidently, I kind of knew that from another pattern I tried to make from back o' day, that I do stitch tighter than she does too. And I already upsized the hook a little bit, but I should have optioned for even more. I could have known this. But we all learn as we go. And it's just a good learning moment for me, so that's fine. Oh no, that should have been a double together. Yeah, she stitches quite loose. And I don't. So there is the main issue. And as I said, I could have known because the last time I followed one of hers, the end result was also much better when I had upsized the crochet hook. So this would be... but ladies, we are slowly getting to a stage where I probably have to end this stream within not too long. Not sure if I will be able to finish this row. But what I think is a great plan is to say that on Monday, if everything goes well, I'll be live on Monday. Unless something happens, unforeseeable things, which definitely is possible these days. Then I will be live on Monday about the same time as I did today. And we will proceed by it by then. And if we don't finish Monday, then we will do Wednesday. And what I will also then do for Monday is I will take I do have this lovely mannequin head, which is a bit smaller than my own head, because I don't think I can fit this. And then we need something to fit it. If we get there, right? And my mannequin head would definitely fit with that teen/small, I think. Definitely better than I would. So I think that's a good idea. It could also be that I end up being extremely positively surprised about the size and fit of this. That would be amazing. But I do know that my head is larger than, like, it is size large, so to say. When we finished high school, we get these hats measured for your heads, when you pass the exam, right? And I had the largest female heads among the group. Not the largest in total, but it wasn't far off. So therefore, I do know that I do have a large head, which is fine. But it does mean that I'm not able to fit smaller sized beanies. And thus, I may need my fitting head, which I have, which is like a plastic head, to be my mannequin. That's also something I want to invest in, by the way, a real mannequin. But I haven't done it because of room right now. Spacing issues. So we do this a bit loose. We go back to this one, pull it up a bit. And I think I'm doing it loose, but I'm sometimes still debating when I'm looking at this if it's loose enough. Where is my yarn? There it is. Sorry about that. My coughing is better now than it was a few weeks ago. That makes me really happy. But we're still not there where we'll say I'm cough free. But it is a lot better than it was a few weeks ago. So that is nice. And then we need a bit more yarn. We go back, pulling up a bit more yarn. And then we skip back. So my feeling is not that it necessarily needs to be, it's a 4-stitch repeat. Which means that the solution to my issue would either be a bigger hook or more stitches in the foundation. So in this case, she started with 14 double crochets. If I did 15 or 16, it would already be bigger. So that is definitely something that can be considered should I reattempt doing it with this particular yarn. Because that is fundamentally also it, right? It is also yarn properties. And it could be that her DK weight is a bit thicker than my DK weight, that this isn't that thick. I just went a bit with the yarn, recommended yarn size, like the hook size. And what she required for the pattern or recommended for the pattern and so on. And I assumed this would work fine. But we did not have the chance of swatch testing or gauge testing either. So it could easily also be that I have a too thin yarn compared to what she used, even though this one is a bit fluffier. Or I would need the bigger hook size, like just up it by 0.5 millimeter. So instead of using the 4 millimeter here, I would use the 4.5. That could also fix it. That would make it a bit more airy here between the stitches. So that's also a little bit of a choice if you want to do that. And in that event, then it may actually look nicer if you rather wanted it, you know, with extra stitches, because that would leave less space around. That makes a denser fabric, right? So that is probably where we have to head towards. Let's see. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish this row. And then I think we will call it the day and then continue on Monday with this particular one. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to know how this works out too. I'm just following the thoughts and instructions, but I have a feeling that it will be too small. And I'll be happy if I'm wrong, but I will not be surprised if I'm right. Does that make sense? And then we are back to the, I do have more of this yarn. So what I can do always is to make the same, but instead of having 14 double crochets in the fundamental row, I'll have 15, for example, or even 16, because that would probably be the easiest way to increase, based on how the increases were done. That would be the easiest way to increase the stitch count, and by this also the size. It's curling up on me. I pull up a little bit in the yarn so I am sure that I have enough for this slanted front post. Then we pull up again, go back to catch it. So like the concept of the slants works up really nice. I'm just concerned if the width sizing will actually end up being fitable for me. That is something we can find out on Monday. Which also means if you have nothing to do on Monday, you can put it into agenda. I'll be here around the same time as today. Then if we finish, we have something else to work on still. So we could have done a treble as an alternative, and then increased one more row. I think that could probably also have worked out. But it could also be this gonna be absolutely fine, and that I'm right now worried for nothing. These days in general, I do hope a lot that I'm worried for nothing. We'll slant back to this. That's there, so that would be the next one. That would be 2 regular doubles. And then we have the 2 doubles together. Then we'll have a bit loose of a stitch and we'll have to slant all the way back. Done like that. Back doing the 2 doubles. And then 2 doubles together. Extra yarn out. And we'll slant back in that front post of the previous front post. That's like that. We have 2 doubles. So the repeat is pretty simple, to say so, which is nice. And finally, my yarn spindle here is actually just slowly letting the yarn pop off one by one, like it's supposed to, which is really nice too. Let's see, a bit extra yarn. Go back to this one. Like that. Regular double times 2. The double together. Bit more loose to pick that previous post, and then we are almost around. 4 more stitches, well technically 5. And then like that, and I should probably slip stitch into that first stitch. I assume that would make sense. So, row complete. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So this is when it's not folding up the wrong curling way, but if we get it to, it might end up being fine, but I still have the feeling it's small. But it might end up being fine. We will have to see. But that would be the first row. Ta-ta! Of the repeat, which I will proceed with on Monday, because today I am not going to reach anymore. And I'm asked what yarn spindle is. So this is what we have left still on the cake. Not cake, skein. And the yarn spindle is this one. So basically, I'll do an outside pull. Particularly this skein of yarn is really nice to do it with because it is fluffy. So doing a center pull is more likely to do yarn bath or something like that. And you'll just enter it on it. You could also do it with cakes. Right now I am doing it with the cake I'm using for the Ceylon tea shawl because I'm pulling it from the outside. So just add the cake on, and as I crochet, it just slowly spins. It's really nice. It's a nice concept. This one I actually got from Temu, but you can have similar ones also from Hobby, etc., etc. It's basically a 2-piece product. So you have a foot with metal rod that is nice and smooth. Then you have another metal rod here, which has a hole on the other foot. And here you need to make sure that this is a little bit deeper than the wood here, if that makes sense. It's a little bit pointy out, the metal. And the reason for this is if it doesn't point out, it will not spin as smoothly on this. I have two, and one of them, this wasn't completely, it was a bit below, and it didn't really want to spin very smooth. But then I pushed it a bit down, and then I wanted to spin, because that leaves a little bit of air here between, if that makes sense. So there's this air between. You can actually see how it puts on top here. So that's how it goes. And I have I have two of these regular ones, so one spindle ones, and I have a double. And the double I had the idea would be great for my mosaic blanket, but it did not work out as intended. So right now it's just sitting upstairs. I'm not using it, but it could be great if you do some project where you have two yarns work together. But it's actually the same size as this, but it's basically in a block of two. So you would have them sitting like this apart. So you can't have them too big skeins because then they will kind of collide. So they have to be thinner skeins. So that didn't work out as intended. Or I could just have two loose ones, which is probably more likely what I'll do. And then I might sell the double one, because I don't use it. So it would be a bit of a waste because it's there, if that makes any sense. So let's see if I can get my face back up. If I can get my face back up, I do have this. And we'll move over to this. Hallelujah. So I like the end project of this. Like it I think we made good progress. But I fear it will be too small for me personally, but it will probably be fine for a teenager, as small as I said. As I said, on Monday, I will be here on Monday for sure. At least I think for sure. It depends on life. But if I'm not emergency called to Denmark, I'll be here on Monday. Let's put it like that. Or something crazy happens with my mom-in-law. But generally, I'll be here on Monday and around the same time. So no later than 2-ish p.m., which would be like 8 a.m. Eastern. Maybe a bit earlier, it depends. And we'll continue working on this. So I won't touch this until Monday. It will just lay and wait. Well, actually, I will touch it shortly when we talk about it in my yarn talk video. But I won't crochet on it until Monday. Then we will work on this together and we'll finish it together. And I'll have my fitting friend with me. So that is my plan. And then I think it's unfortunately time to say have a nice day and all that stuff, because I need to pack this room together so I can make sure that we get dinner served in not too long. Luckily, we have leftovers. I don't need to cook much for dinner, so that's a good thing. I'm going to say take care and happy crafting. I will see you on Friday in my yarn talk video, and if everything goes well, I'll be back live on Monday. So Monday morning your time, Monday afternoon my time, and yeah, take care and happy crafting, and thank you for hanging out with me. I really had a great time, and it really did help get my mind a bit away of the things that's currently going on, so I really appreciate that. So thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate that you took some of your time to hang out with me. Thank you so much. Bye.